Begin, I just wanted to inform that we are recording this session to be shared later with everyone. So thank you everyone for joining us today for the third part of the webinar series on breaking the cycle, voices from the field to integrate family strengthening principles to practice, being jointly organized by IACN and Udyan Care. On behalf of IACN and Udyan Care, we welcome you all for this part of the series. Before we begin, a few instructions for smooth and distraction-free session. Please introduce yourself in the chat box, your name, your city, your location from where you are joining. And also, if you could keep your videos on so that we have a more interactive session. And it's a humble request to all the participants to make sure that your mics are off when the session is in progress so that there is no disturbance and we can all hear each other, and to the speakers who have such a lot of experience and insight to share with all of us. In between, if you have, while the session is in progress, if you have any comments or any questions or any feedback, please use the chat box. Our team will respond to it. And during the open Q&A session, we will take those questions and comments further with the help of moderator to the speakers, and then you can directly ask those questions during the open session. And in adherence to our child safeguarding policy, none of the speakers will be using the real names, location, or any details of the children while sharing the case studies, stories, or anecdotes. We also request all the participants to refrain from disclosing or sharing any information about a child or his or her family that could reveal their identity. So this is part of our child safeguarding policy. As I just mentioned, this is the third part of the series. This series was launched in April last year to mark the month of family strengthening and child abuse and neglect prevention with Udyan Care. Through this initiative, we aim to amplify the voices of child protection practitioners, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders who are working to strengthen families and ensuring that children grow in a safe environment of a home and a loving environment of a home. The objective of this series is to create a platform of exchanging, learning, and sharing knowledge about diverse approaches and programs that promote family-based care. We have already covered North and West and Central region in previous two webinars. From the North zone, speakers from NACG, Ending Violence Against Children, Cry, Butterflies from Delhi, and Human Welfare Voluntary Organization from Jammu and Kashmir shared their insights. From the West and the Central region, representatives from Family Service Center and the Leher, both non-governmental organizations from Mumbai, and Muskan from Madhya Pradesh joined this session. These speakers shared and highlighted diverse community-driven approaches of family strengthening. For instance, in North, initiatives such as vigilance group, parenting modules, financial literacy programs, and community and child protection groups emphasize trust, participation, and convergence with the government schemes. In the West and the Central region, models like Bal Suraksha hubs, holistic family service centers, foster care support, safe city initiatives, and trauma healing safe spaces showcase integrated multidimensional strengthening efforts. Together, these initiatives reinforce that effective family strengthening requires collaboration, convergence, community ownership, alignment of services to keep children safe within the families. You can watch these two recordings on our YouTube channel. It's available, and we can also share the link with you in the chat box. Today, we will be highlighting the initiative from East and Northeastern regions. And we know the geographical settings of these regions is very different from the North and from the West region. So we'll have a lot of learning from the speakers that we have with us today. With this, I think I would now, without further delay, I would like to invite Ms. Ranjana Srivastav, who is the moderator, who is going to moderate the session today. And Ms. Ranjana Srivastav is the Associate Director, Advocacy, Research and Training at Udyan Care. So thank you so much, Ranjana ma'am, for agreeing to moderate this session for us. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kavita. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes. Okay. Good afternoon to all esteemed panel members, distinguished participants, and colleagues present here. Let me begin with a brief story. The story of a 13-year-old girl child in a flood-affected district of Bihar. She was placed in an institutional care after her father lost his livelihood due to repeated seasonal flooding. The family had migrated temporarily for work and her schooling was disrupted. Poverty and instability were interrupted as inability to care. However, during the social investigation, it became evident that the family bond was strong. The parents were not neglectful, they were economically distressed. Instead of long term institutional placement, a family strengthening plan was initiated. The family was linked to the sponsorship scheme under Mission Vatsalya, connected to a livelihood program, and supported through counseling. The child was re enrolled in schools with academic assistance. Within months, stability was restored. What changed her trajectory was not removal, it was timely family strengthening. This example resonates across eastern and northeastern India, where socio-economic vulnerabilities intersects with geographical challenges. If we will see over the last decade, child protection practice has undergone a significant shift. Earlier responses were largely reactive, intervening after harm occurred. Institutional care often became the default solution, but evidence, global standards, and our national framework have steadily guided us towards prevention and family based care. The Juvenile Justice Act and Mission Vatsalya emphasizes preventing unnecessary separation and prioritizing reintegration. The focus has moved from rescue to prevention, from welfare to a right-based framework, from isolated case responses to system strengthening. If you will see data and trends, these highlights why focusing on family strengthening is no longer supplementary. It is central. Nationally, as per one of the renowned newspaper, the number of children in institutional care has declined by around 17% in recent years, signaling a gradual policy shift towards non-institutional and family-based care. So when we examine states like Bihar and West Bengal, we see high child population, rural density, migration for seasonal labor, and vulnerabilities linked to poverty and disaster. In district of Assam, annual flood displaces families, increasing risk of child labor and trafficking. In Jharkhand, distress migration and economic insecurity expose children to exploitation and school discontinuation. In Meghalaya and other northeastern states, if you will see, hilly terrain and dispersed habitation limit service access, while border dynamics heighten trafficking concern. These reality demand context-sensitive family strengthening approaches. Yet, these states also present remarkable strength, like in northeastern communities, strong kinship systems and community-based child rearing tradition act as a natural protective factors. In Jharkhand and West Bengal, tribal and rural communities often rely on collective support structures. In Bihar and Assam, Panchayati Raj institutions, village-level communities provide platform for convergence and monitoring. The opportunities in aligning these community strengths with formal child protection mechanism. It lies there. The question is why must we prioritize family strengthening in these contexts? So I think poverty is not neglect. Economic support can prevent separation. Climate shocks increase vulnerabilities, but family resilience reduce risk. Migration disrupts safety and schooling, but convergence is essential. Family care ensures better emotional and development outcome, especially when we see in a joint family system with which we are rooted on. Reintegration needs follow up to prevent relapses, and family strengthening aligns with the SDG and Mission Vatsalya vision and goals. Strengthening family is both a preventive strategy and a resilience building measure. As we deliberate today, let us reflect on how to move from family strengthening principles to grounded practices. So here I am introducing our esteemed speakers for today's webinar. So the first one is Father Lucas, who is the Director and Chief Functionaries, Snehalaya Charitable Trust, Guwahati. With decades of experience in childcare and prevention, he has played a significant role in strengthening the juvenile justice system in Assam. Currently, he is the Director and Chief Functionary at Snehalaya Charitable Trust, Guwahati. He has served as a member of the Juvenile Justice Board as well as the chairperson of the Child Welfare Committee, Kamrup District, Guwahati, and has contributed to state-level child protection policy and practices. Father has also worked closely with UNICEF, NIPSID, and law enforcement agencies on juvenile justice, psychosocial care, and child-friendly policy. His lifelong commitment to the rights and well-being of children has been recognized through multiple awards for social work and services to vulnerable children. The next speaker is Mr. Banku Bihari Sarkar, Child Protection Specialist, UNICEF Bihar State Office. Banguji has over 25 years of experience in the development sector. He currently leads the Child Protection Program at the UNICEF Bihar Field Office. We are continually seeking his guidance and support in our the project that we are implementing in Bihar. With a background in social work, he works closely with the government of Bihar to strengthen child protection system, builds workforce capacity, and support the implementation of child rights laws and schemes like Mission Vatsalya in the state. Banguji has played a key role in advancing family-based alternative care, including aftercare in Bihar, and brings deep practical experience in preventing and responding to child abuse, exploitation, and violence. And our last speaker is Mr. Palamida De Sarkar, Program Manager, Tere Desh Homes Foundation in India, West Bengal. She is a senior child protection professional with over 20 years of experience in the development sector and currently leads the child protection and migration portfolio at TDH in India. She works on strengthening child protection schemes, policy advocacy, safeguarding, and right-based programs for vulnerable and migrant communities. As the safeguarding focal point for TDS, she supports organizations to build strong safeguarding standards and ethical practices. Follow Me brings practical field and policy insight on family and community-based care and preventing unnecessary family separation. So to start today's webinar, I'll first request Bankuji to please share UNICEF Bihar intervention with Bihar state, that how the practices are going on to integrate family strengthening principles into practice. So over to you, Bankuji.
Thank you so much, Ranjanaji, for the introduction. And I also learned that I will also start with a story, actually, which, as you started. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, so I will also start my session with a story. It's a story of a girl named Neha. It's a name change. I have changed the name also. She is from one of the villages in Samastipur. When she was in class 8, she actually loved playing football. So in the normally school campuses in the middle school, she was actually playing football. And normally girls don't play football, so she has to play with the boys. And in her own village also, she started playing football with the boys. Then it then other villagers got irritated, and they started actually giving a lot of pressure to the family to actually get her daughter. So finally, actually, their parents got her married. And I think at that time, her age was around, say, 15 or 16 years. But she then when she went to her in-laws' house, they actually locked her. So, and they were actually ill-treating her. But when one day she got an opportunity, and then she escaped from the in-laws' house. Then she went to a police station, and then she reported that this is what has happened. Then she was actually sent to a child welfare committee in another district where she was residing. So during one of our visits, actually, when we talked to her, when we learned her stories, then we also shared this with the concerned actually DCPU, and then DCPU actually provided a football to that girl. in the home itself, and she started actually just practicing football. And later on, we also took her in one of our event in UNICEF in Delhi, where she played football with Sachin Tendulkar as well as Asman Khurana. Later on, actually, government of Bihar, actually with Bihar Sports Authority, they actually then got an idea. They actually did a sports competition, basically identifying children who are in the CCIs, who have the basically skills for different sports. So finally, that girl actually has been linked with the professional football academy, where she is being trained. And then she has also, and the parents has also agreed to take her back. So that's how actually this entire intervention with her began, based on the learning that we came from the field. So I would just like to begin with a state context, because demography in Bihar is entirely different from other states. Because in our state, the population of 0 to 18 years is 46%, which is highest in India. And if we talk about the adolescent, that is 10 to 19 years, that it comes to around 22.5%, almost 1/4 of the population. And if we take 0 to 25 years, it is around 57%. And this is the percent of children, basically, they come into the system. We call them either child in care of, actually need of care of protection, or maybe they can become also CICL. And second thing is, if we talk about the population, Bihar has a 84.5% population, which is called marginalized. Means that OBC or extremely backward community comprises of around, say, 84.5%. Scheduled caste population comprises of around 19.6%. So that is the state context, and we understand that the poverty in Bihar is highest in India. That is comes to around 25.59% as per the Niti Aayog. And child marriage is still high. I think after West Bengal, Bihar has a child marriage as per NHFS 5, that is 40.8%. And every 10th child labor which you see in any part of India is actually from Bihar. And we understand that the child protection system, earlier it was SCPS, now it is called Mission Vatsalya, is not a very old system of creating for the child protection. It's just hardly maybe 14 or 15 years. So in this context, when we operate, and we saw that, so government of Bihar has basically a multi-pronged strategy for family strengthening, and formation and strengthening of community-based institutions, basically for gatekeeping as well as for family strengthening. Then conditional cash transfer. There are very unique conditional cash transfers. Then apart from that, overall system strengthening for supporting the children who are actually children of families who are vulnerable. So in Bihar, we have in 38 all the districts, we have district child protection committees has been formed, which is meeting regularly, and it is being headed by district collector. Actually, in Bihar, there are 4 types of task forces or the committees at the district level. So one task force for child protection, one task force for ending child marriage, one task force for child labor, one for anti-human trafficking. So now, based on our actually advocacy, now all the task forces have been merged together, and there's one collective meeting being organized by the district collector to address this. Then across all the 534 blocks, we have a block child protection committee which has been formed. Let me tell you that in 2017, government of Bihar actually came up with its state-specific guideline on child protection committees. Even after when the Mission Vatsalya came, so government of Bihar decided that they will continue with the old child protection committee structure and the systems, which is already in the state. So we are not actually following the Mission Vatsalya guideline for the child protection committee. Then across there are 885 gram panchayats. So in all the 885 gram panchayat, CPC has been formed. Whereas there are actually in Bihar, there is a provision for ward level CPC also. But unfortunately, out of 1,02,000 actually wards, there are just 50,000 actually ward level CPCs has been formed. And we have seen that and most of the data is actually being reported in the CPMI system. So as per the latest report, in CPCs in all the 534 blocks, they held meetings. Though it is supposed that they will have meeting quarterly, but we see that at least 620 meetings has been held in this current year, and 8,085 gram panchayats. So CPC meeting is regular actually, or functional in 6,400 gram panchayats. At the ward level, it is still a challenge where the CPC ward level meetings is really not regularly happening. If we talk about some of the conditional cash transfer and the assistance, as most of you know that there is a sponsorship program from the Ministry of Women and Child Development, where the currently the government of Bihar is providing this sponsorship support program to more than 13,794 actually girls and boys. There is a state sponsored scheme that's called Parvaris, basically for children who are actually orphan. So more than 15,000 children are also being supported, where a monthly 1,000 rupees per child is being provided. Then apart from that, there is a unique program called Mukhyamantri Kanya Uddhan Yojana. That is a state-sponsored scheme to promote actually value of the girl child, where each girl from from her birth until she actually graduates, they gets 94,100 rupees during different milestones of the milestones. And currently, this program has reached to around 46 lakh girls. So that is also actually helped in supporting girls. Then apart from that, there's a Kushal Yuva program that is being run by Bihar Skill Development Mission, in which they have they almost trained 21 lakh, and currently 32 lakhs are also enrolled and undergoing training. And most recently, I think 2-3 years back, Government of Bihar actually came up with a reservation for girls, basically, or women in the police force. Now Bihar is the state where the number of women in the police force is highest in India. It is around 35%. Then we are also supporting Government of Bihar in actually implementing a program that's we call UDAN, that is Adolescent Development and Empowerment Program, across 22 districts with the Social Development Department, basically focusing on changing gender norms, gender stereotypes, or empowering girls and boys to make their own life choices, so that the story which I narrated you for that girl, so those actually doesn't actually happen. Then there are some of the children who are actually in the institutional care. So where actually we have a partner like Udyan Care is one of our partner. So we have been supporting Government of Bihar in aftercare. So more than 500 plus actually children have been skilled and supported with aftercare. Most of them are actually placed in either hospitality in across different actually cities in India. Bakery also, like Mongeris Bakery has a lot of children who are in Mongeris Bakery. Some of the girls and boys, they have been also trained in beauty and health care. And then some of the children have been actually placed in the government job. They got government jobs, or as well as being supported for the self-employment. And some of the boys and girls, after leaving from the care institution, they decided to go for higher studies. So some of the girls are also going for, or boys are going for higher studies. Recently, Government of Bihar actually started, though this fund is coming from the central government, but this was not being dispersed. This was being used for the providing skilling. But now on, they are giving around more than 60 children, 4,000 per month as an aftercare fund. And Government of Bihar has come up with its own guideline. And recently we had a meeting with the secretary, and in which it has been decided that this aftercare fund will not only be limited to the children who are leaving aftercare institutions, but the children who are actually also being beneficiary of sponsorship or the Parvaris will also be covered under this aftercare fund. And this fund will be given first in the first case until the age of 21, and then after that scrutiny, it can be extended until the age of 23. Adoption has actually improved a lot in Bihar, and in this current year, more than 106 children have been actually placed in adoption, and there has been some of the adoption has been by international couples also. You may be aware that even the earlier chairperson of the NCPCR, Priyank Kanungo, also adopted a girl child from Bihar. If we talk about system strength, so we see that Bihar is the only state where we have a state cadre who are actually heading DCPUs. It's a full-time job for them. That is called Additional Director Child Protection, as well as Child Protection Officers. They are being recruited by the state service commissions, and they are on the state government payroll. So that has actually given good actually strengthening for system strengthening of child protection. Then we have CWCs across all the 38 districts. Then SJPUs, CWPOs, all they play a bigger role in basically family strengthening. And I think the DI is something which has become a kind of practice. The moment a child actually arrives in any childcare institution, the DI process immediately starts. And the target is that to find out the family and then place the children, return back the children to the family and try to understand why it happened and why the children actually have to leave their families, if they are missing or what are the reasons. And then they also start counseling and follow with the families. And then also we have seen a lot of actually improvement in the ICP as well as rehabilitation plan. And we have been very fortunate to have very good partners like Udyan Care Miracle Foundation. Then we have also partnered with Pratham Save the Children Action Aid, and there are many other institutions. There are certain issues or concerns or challenges which I'd like to put forward, maybe for others to also develop on it. That we understand that this VCPC, Village Level Child Protection Committee or the Ward Level Child Protection Committee, strengthening them as well as making them functional is very, very big challenge, because we understand that this is not the forte of the government, because we don't have a government functionary below the district level. And as you understand, most of you understand that because of the FCRA, the development sector has already highly constrained with the manpower. And unless and for BCPC or CPC, we find that the kind of coordination or the support which we should get from the Panchayat Raj department, we are not getting, and there is also lack of fund and functionary. So this is something a big challenge for us. Then low level of literacy as well as understanding among the stakeholders at the Panchayat. And then every 5 years, these Panchayat functions also change. So how do we really see that? Then one thing that I've been raising with the ministry as well, department, though sponsorship is or Parvez, these are a beautiful program, but what we are seeing is that it's not a demand. It's not basically approach in which beneficiaries are actually sending their application to the DCPUs. DCPUs then they are scrutinizing, and then they are actually giving these beneficiaries the connecting them with the sponsorship or Parvez. Whereas there is a one actually priority which Mr. has talked about, the vulnerability analysis or the mapping, which is not happening. So I'm not sure whether the current beneficiaries of the sponsorship are really the children who need the most, or are the children who are reaching to the system. So that is something a big question mark that is in my mind. I don't understand or having an understanding of what is happening in the other states, how the selection of this children beneficiaries for the sponsorship is being done. One more thing that is something which is really very funny to me is that, or quite I'm struggling to understand the state allocation for sponsorship. If you see, Maharashtra is getting highest actually allocation for sponsorship, that comes to around 32,000 in the current year. And then it is being followed by I think Madhya Pradesh, UP, whereas Bihar, being the poorest state in India, has been just given a target of 6,000 children. So that is something that I don't know what is the rationale behind the decision, why Maharashtra is getting 2,000 actually sponsorship, as well as why Bihar is getting 6,000. What is the rationale behind it? And second and my last point is that I think still have to work a lot basically in bringing a change in the mindset of the child protection functionaries, because still we find that the child protection functionaries are heavily focused on institutional care. And whereas non-institutional care, though we have a CPO and IC for non-institutional care, I think recently MWCT has also approved additional position for CPO and IC, but still I think the focus is on institutional care. So that is something which will we need to think through, that how do we make efforts to change the mindset. So thank you so much. Over to you, Ranjana ji.
Thank you so much, Bankuji. You have highlighted many key, I would say, key highlights, whether with regard to the best practices at the state level of the challenges, those are persistent, and very well said, because Bihar is also one such a state from where the high migration of children is there, and it's there. And in many states, the children from Bihar migrate and they get into the child labor work. And thank you so much for sharing the unique aspects of Bihar, like the encouraging number for the sponsorship, Parvesh, and the Mukhyamantri Kanya incredible one, and at the same time the challenges that the state is facing with regard to the system strengthening. The structures are there, but yes, system is strengthening. And again, the one mapping aspect, we are looking forward to work with you in your leadership on this issue very much. So now I move ahead to our next speaker, Father Lucas. I request you to kindly share your experiences and Snehale's work on factors affecting family strengthening in Northeast, especially Assam, with relevance to the Assam, and the best practices being implemented at a state level to address the same, and your recommendation. So over to you, Father.
Thank you, Anjana, for having me on the panel, and I'm really honored. I would like to introduce everybody to the uniqueness of Northeast India before I go ahead with my presentation. So that's which I will give you in the slides that I'll share with you all. Now, my approach to the whole concept of family strengthening is first we look at what are the family weakening factors, FW factors in Northeast India. It may be in the urban areas, it may be in the rural areas, it may be in the tribal communities, in the non-tribal communities, among the rich, among the poor. And so there are some family weakening factors which are unique to Northeast India and which also may be applicable to other parts of India. I'd like to speak about that. Next. So one uniqueness of Northeast India is that it is predominantly tribal. So if, for example, if you look at the state of Mizoram, 94.4% of the population of Mizoram are scheduled tribe people. 94.4. Nagaland, 86.5. Meghalaya, 86.1. Arunachal Pradesh, 68.8. Manipur, 40.9. Sikkim, 33.8. Tripura, 31.8. And Assam is 12.4% tribal. I thought it was a little bigger, but anyway. And there are communities in Assam who are clamoring for the status of ST status, and it is being refused to them. So this is the uniqueness of Northeast India. So it is more tribal than any other part of India. So let's have the next slide. And another uniqueness that I want to speak about Northeast India is that even though it is tribal, it is diverse. There's such a lot of diversity. There is a big difference between the Boros and the Rabas and the Mishings and the Karbis and the Singfu and the Thiva and the Thai Ahom community. So we just can't say the same thing about all the tribes. They have their unique way of dressing, they have their unique lifestyle, they have their unique marriage institution, social organization. And so even though they are common, because they have a common feature that they are tribals, they are also very, very unique. And this slide with these pictures here gives you the idea of how unique this region is. Next. Now, there are certain family weakening factors FW factors, let me call it that way. I think it hasn't got public recognition as a term, but now I call it FW factors, which are cross-cutting. That means it applies to the tribal areas, to the non-tribal areas, it applies to the rich, it applies to the poor, it applies to the urban areas, it applies to the rural areas of Northeast India, and also maybe to the rest of India. And the first one, of course, everybody will say that is also our problem, that is mobile and social media addiction. Northeast has been covered by the internet. There is mobile connectivity practically in every nook and corner of Northeast India. Airtel, BSNL, and other service providers have ensured that Northeast India has a very good coverage. And as a result, what's happening is that the young people, the Z generation, as they say, they are addicted to the screen, they are addicted to social media, and they are addicted to playing games. So they have no time for the other members of the family. And this is a cross-cutting family weakening factor. Then something very noticeable in Northeast India is substance abuse and alcoholism, drug addiction. Northeast India is very close to the Golden Triangle, and there's a lot of trafficking of drugs taking place through Myanmar into Manipur, from Myanmar into Mizoram, and substance abuse, like addiction to tobacco and tobacco products, and alcoholism. Earlier it was to home prepared alcohol like rice beer, millet beer in Arunachal, the Apung, but today it's all Indian made foreign liquors. And alcoholism is very, very widespread. Now we come to domestic violence. It's all over. I know you will say that, but there are very many instances of domestic violence and divorce in Northeast India. One particular thing I would like to point out, and if I am wrong, I stand corrected. That is because we are culturally so diverse in this Northeast region, linguistically also diverse, then religion-wise we are diverse. A lot of intermarriages take place. Normally, marriages are comparatively, let me say, more stable when the husband and wife have profess the same religion and they speak the same language and they have the same culture. But when there is intermarriage, and when adjusting to different cultural modes becomes a challenge, there can be a very big problem. I remember very clearly one of the cases that I handled as a child welfare committee chairperson in Kamrup Metro, that is Guwahati. Early morning, the child woke up to the reality of seeing her father hanging from the ceiling fan. The child was sleeping with her mother. The father belonged to one community. He was alcoholic. And the mother belonged to another community altogether. And the child ever has lived with a sense of guilt that she didn't wake up her mother in the night because she knew something was going on amiss in the room where her father was sleeping. So that is it. A mixture of poverty, alcoholism, and this cultural clash in that family resulted in that traumatic experience for that child. Then, of course, there is the negative impact of globalization and the consequent social change. You see, globalization is ushering in a social change in the communities of Northeast India. This morning, I was talking with a person belonging to the Maram tribe. And that person said, Father, today the tribal community is no more the community about which all the anthropologists were writing. No, they are so democratic. They have the community organization which is so strong, and they share everything. They care for the community. In fact, the family structure is kind of being monitored by the village structure. Today it is no more. There is individualism. Today nobody shares anything. Everybody wants to sell their products and get money because money has become more important today in the thinking of people. So this is also happening in the tribal interior villages. So when we read about tribals being very democratic and supporting each other and all that, we have to look at it critically because the present day, there is a social change that is taking place and which is making the tribal community almost like the non-tribal community. This is also by my observation. I have not made a scientific study about it, but by observation, I feel that it's happening. I've been living in Guwahati for the last 45 years, and I'm in Northeast India for over 65 years. And I see that there's a big difference because of globalization and the changes that are taking place. Commercialization in the urban areas of Northeast India, in Guwahati, in Shillong, in Dibrugarh, in Dimapur, in Imphal, in Aizawl, in all the capital cities, commerce has become the order of the day. Guwahati is the commercial capital of Northeast India, and there is a lot of materialism creeping in, and this is actually weakening the family institution. We can go on like this. The traditional moral values and spiritual values and practices are becoming less and less important in the communities of Northeast India. So these are some of the cross-cutting family weakening factors across Northeast India. Next. Let us talk about the rural areas where family weakening factors, some can be highlighted. Now, for example, poverty, which is a family weakening factor everywhere. And we can also handle this factor that contributes to the vulnerability of the family easily. Say like what Mission Vatsalya is doing. Now that is, we can, if the family is poor, we can give them sponsorship. We can give them 4,000 rupees a month, and with that one, that problem can be easily addressed. The easiest vulnerability factor that can be addressed and which can be used for strengthening the family is poverty. Some money that can be given. But the other factors, we shall come to it afterwards, it's not so easy. Poverty is aggravated by the annual floods that take place in the mighty river Brahmaputra flowing from Tibet all across Assam into Bangladesh and into the Bay of Bengal. And on the banks of this river, there is a problem of erosion. Land is being lost. And there is an area which is called the Char area. It is about 3,608 square kilometers and home to about 9% of the state's population. They are prone to intense poverty, environmental factors, and inclement environment, social and economic vulnerability. This is also true about the hilly areas, which are so remote and inaccessible. There also the problem of poverty is very high. But Northeast India is rich. It has got resources. It has got its tea. It has got its oil, coal, forest products, but they do not benefit the common man. They're all being owned by big commercial establishments, and the common man hardly gets anything out of all these rich resources of Northeast India. Of course, we can speak about poverty also in another level of multidimensional poverty. The population of Northeast India is deprived in the area of health, education, and living standards, not only just in terms of economic income. Then another common factor which is found in the rural areas of Northeast India is the lack of basic documents. Today, documents have become very important because everything has to be uploaded online. So, basic documents like birth certificate, Aadhaar card, PAN card, EPIC, that is voter ID, ration card, bank account, and even caste certificates. And these are all, it's not so found. Everyone do not have it. Everyone do not have it. And so many children, for example, the children in institutions, childcare, institution, excuse me, I don't like that word, childcare institution, because I have been always reading in Juvenile Justice Act that they are childcare homes. So if that I can be substituted with H, I'll be childcare homes. And that's my request to UNICEF. Let us call it childcare homes. So the children in the childcare homes, many of them do not have these basic documents. Also, the people in the interior areas, the rural areas particularly, they do not have. Even today, two people came for a job in Snehalaya. Then I asked them, do you have your bank account? I opened my bank account, but it's not operational now. KYC and this, all that is causing problems for the people. So that's it. Next. In the rural areas, there are also other family weakening factors. Somebody already hinted, the previous speaker, Bank, who already hinted at migration. A good bit of migration is unsafe migration. Unsafe. They go, but they don't know where they are going. And once they reach the destination, they lose contact with their family. So unsafe migration from Assam is a phenomenon. And according to the census of 2011, Assam had 7,64,619 interstate migrants, according to the census of 2011. So that is it, migration. Migration is very important factor which is weakening the families. And these migrants are mostly from rural areas. Rural areas. Some of them are very uneducated. Today, this number may be even much higher. So let's keep that in mind. Then Assam is a source area for child labor. Source area. Children are taken for labor in Arunachal Pradesh. Children are taken for labor to Nagaland. Children are taken for labor to other parts of Northeast India from Assam. And this only is a symptom, an indication of how vulnerable the families are. How vulnerable. It is not just economic vulnerability, there are other factors too. There is rampant child marriage, and that is being fought. Politically also it is being fought in Assam. Assam is the only state with a law against polygamy. A man who enters into a polygamous relationship can be imprisoned for 7 years according to the law that has been recently enacted in our assembly here in Assam. So marriage is, child marriage is there, and then there is this problem of polygamy and all that. So we are speaking about alcoholism already earlier, but I would like to highlight that alcoholism is very severe, particularly in the tea estates of Assam. In the tea estates of Assam, this factor is very, very serious. There are altogether 1,148 listed tea estates in Assam. 1,148. And in a very large number of these tea estates, the tea laborers, they are addicted to alcohol. They are victims of alcoholism. In Assam has got 26,429 villages according to the census of 2011, and alcoholism is also rampant in a number of these villages. Of course, this can be said about many of the 45,934 villages of the 8 states of Northeast India. So, severe alcoholism. Next. Next slide, please.
Father, you have 5 minutes, sorry.
I got 5 more minutes. Okay, we'll go faster now. Family weakening factors among the urban rich, divorce rates are high. Many dysfunctional families, both the husband and wife go to work. This is something very special. I just want to highlight a little. The husband and the wife, they are going to work, and it has got negative consequences on the child and his upbringing and his development. Earlier there was what I would call healthy financial interdependence between the husband and the wife. Healthy financial interdependence. Today that has disappeared. The husband works, he gets his income. The wife works, she gets her income, and then they're financially independent. And that has also weakened the family to some extent. Some may be contesting this opinion of mine. Many families are nuclear, 1, 2 children, and the children are also being pampered instead of being well brought up. Then in the urban area also there is the problem of drug abuse. And you imagine now in Guwahati alone, there are 143 rehab centers. 143 rehab centers in the city of Guwahati. That only shows how serious this problem is. Next. Can I have the next slide? Yeah. Now, speaking about family strengthening interventions, what we do in Snehalaya and our major project called Child Friendly Guwahati is what everyone else is doing elsewhere. We organize awareness programs at the grassroots level. We go to where the poor people live, the slums, and we organize awareness programs against substance abuse and drug abuse. Then we do something which is very, very ordinary, but which is very effective. That is, our social workers visit the families. They talk with the people. And they are also trained in family counseling to some extent. They speak about parenting skills and about building family resilience to face the many challenges. And we have also taken up this fighting of poverty by skilling the youth in vocational training, tailoring, beautician's course, computer course, and then not just training, but also trying to job place them and encourage them to have self-employment. And so that's what we do to strengthen the families. Next. Of course, advocacy, as everywhere. We stand by the side of the poor and try to help them to get documents, to have access to entitlements, and hope one day also to fight legal battles on their behalf, legal advocacy. We try to train local leadership. In our 33 centers, we have set up what are called Child Welfare and Protection Committees, CWPCs. And our aim is that these committees must protect the families and also strengthen the families. Then we look for the capacity building of young people. We have awareness on life skills, which are so very important. Those 10 skills which are enumerated by World Health Organization. And something unique that we are trying to experiment with is also promoting sports and music among children and young people. Sports and music among children and young people, so that they will stay away from what weakens the family and have promote the family strengthening process. Next. I think
Thank you, Father.
Yeah, we come. So then, greetings to all of you from Northeast India, from the 7 sisters and 1 brother of Northeast India. Thank you very much for listening patiently to me. I have not said anything out of the ordinary, very ordinary.
No, not at all, Father.
I am not a learned social worker, but I am a passionate and I hope also a compassionate and a child-friendly social worker. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. In fact, very insightful information that you have shared. I think you truly said family strengthening in the Northeast must be understood as a context-sensitive, multi-sectoral resilience strategy here that address changing climate-based challenges, poverty, migration, substance abuse, documentation gaps, and social challenges that you highlighted. And your presentation clearly reflected that family strengthening is not only a child protection theme based work, it requires attention on cross sectoral responsibility, be it social welfare, livelihood vision, education system, where you shared the information that how education system can address the rampant child marriage, child labor, and child trafficking issue, legal aid and documentation support, and substance abuse prevention program. So thank you, Father. Now I request Paulomi to share Veredes Home's experience and learnings on the prevention of child family separation. Over to you, Paulomi.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yeah, very much you are audible.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. I'll just in this presentation, I'll focus on mostly on the kind of model intervention we have implemented in particularly in 2 states, West Bengal and in Jharkhand. I already in the previous speakers mentioned the key drivers that lead to child and family separation. So in my presentation, I'll briefly mention that. I will also share the technical framework, which is kind of guide our prevention work, the family strengthening approaches which we apply in both rural and urban context. I will also highlight the role of mental health and psychosocial support and well-being, because that is also the core of this intervention model, and some of the impact which we have observed in the families, among the family and the caregivers. And at the end, of course, some reflections, some of the challenges I will also share. So next. Some of the drivers already the previous speakers have mentioned, but one of the element which I would like to add, I will not repeat what already was mentioned by the previous esteemed speakers. So one factor which also we identify is the weakening, which the father mentioned, weakening bonding and attachment among the in the family, among the family members. Second one major gap, we also identify that there are also various gendered risk factors that disproportionately affect girls and boys in different ways. In kinship care arrangement, because in West Bengal and Jharkhand, a lot of children and their families, they migrate for work, and often they kind of keep the children left behind who stay with their grandparents or their other extended family members. And we see that the caregivers often experience a lot of stress due to limited physical, emotional, or financial capacity, which also affects the caregiving quality. There are over reliance on institutional care, which is also largely because of family-based alternative care options are not available, or they are not kind of promoted in the region. Next slide, please. So this is the kind of technical framework which we follow, like the model which I will present. Of course, the UN guidelines for alternative care of children. Our work is also kind of grounded in the child protection minimum standard. We also draw on the INSPIRE strategies, particularly those related to violence prevention, family support, and community mobilization. Mental health is a key pillar for us in our intervention, and so we use interagency standing committee MHPSS framework. Also in terms of case management services to the child and the family, we follow interagency guidelines for case management and child protection and other various rules and standards. Next slide. So TDH's family strengthening approach is basically it's resilience focused, it's strength based and protective factors oriented. So when I am saying it's resilience focused by TDH, like we understand resilience as the capacity of individual and family to exist within their different political, social, economic, health and environmental context, and it recognizes three different capacities which make up resilience. So that is the definition of resilience, where we see like three capacities. One is coping capacity, adaptive capacity, and transformative capacity. So coping capacity is basically which supports the daily functioning, reduce the immediate effects of major shocks and stresses. And also in the previous discussion, we have understood these shocks and stresses not only related to the poverty, but also if we consider the climate change and its impact, regular kind of cyclone, flooding, heat wave. So everything has a immediate shock on the family because it also has an impact on their livelihood and their daily living. Adaptive capacity supports the individual to manage mid to long-term effects of these shocks and stress, and reinforce these existing skills and abilities to play a more active role in self-protection as well as peer protection. And when we say transformative capacity, which kind of this capacity builds autonomy to deal the future changes and taking lead to prevent or reduce the drivers of risk. In our family strengthening intervention, the strength-based approach also focuses on the strengths and resources available. So it is built on the socio-ecological model. It also tries to build on the existing strengths. The activities also ensure that the caring and protective environment in the family, responsive and supportive caregiving practices, also strengthen. A lot of our effort is how we strengthen the caregiver and child bonding and attachment. So if next slide. So in this, this is the model where kind of the program supports children through, creating safe spaces. A lot of our focus is on social and emotional learning, mental health and psychosocial support through sports, and empowerment activities through various participatory actions and participatory action research kind of a thing, child-led access to essential services. Caregivers also receive parenting support, parenting education, collectivization activities, traditional games, of course, individual counseling and PM plus, which is problem management plus, and this is a low intensity psychological intervention which was developed by WHO. Families and households basically benefit from shared MHPSS services, GBV support, awareness raising, and access to entitlements. Child-focused and caregiver-focused intervention overlap to strengthen families' well-being and resilience. So the resilience is the key of our intervention. And together, these interventions create a holistic protection and psychosocial support system for children, caregiver, and their families. So in TDH, our focus is a lot, and we kind of stresses the importance of avoiding the separation of mental health and psychosocial support in programming. So we follow the MHPSS intervention pyramid. So if you, Kavita, if you can share. Yeah. Developed by Interagency Standing Committee, and each level is equally important in the prevention of individual and collective distress and to support mental health and well-being. And we ensure in our programming the referral mechanisms between the different services across different layers. Here, like we offer the problem management plus sessions to the individual family members, and the indicator we generally use that the percentage of caregivers who report an improvement in their psychosocial well-being, how they can cope, adapt, and transform in different kind of psychosocial stresses. And to measure this, we kind of use and also our sports kind of sports for empowerment and sports for protection modules which we use is based on this IASC pyramid. And we to measure we use pre and post reflective questions in each sessions. At times we also use WHO 5 well-being index, and for PM plus sessions we use Cyclops, which is a highly sensitive measurement tool to capture the changes during the intervention. Next slide, please. So these are like the two structured modules which TDH has developed. So I'll just give a bit of a background that in 2018, TDH, UNHCR, and International Olympic Committee first developed a sports for protection toolkit, which particularly it is a structured toolkit which comes with structured sessions and learning outcomes, and particularly enhancing various life skills of children and young people. And in India, actually, we have contextualized it. And since child marriage and other gender-based harmful practices is very much there, so we have integrated gender transformative approach into it, and we designed Kabaddi for Empowerment methodology, which is basically this document has minimum 12 detailed sessions, and it is divided in 6 phases and focuses on skills like trust building, collaboration, communication, emotional management, creative thinking, and responsibility. Within every lesson, we have tried to align exercises in order to achieve 1 or 2 objectives, 1 technical skill and 1 life skill. And though there are multiple objectives and there are sub skills also, and each session focuses on particular learning outcome, and it comes with a structured observation checklist, and that observation checklist is used to monitor the changes across different life skills, as I mentioned. The second one is the traditional games, which is particularly used for the little with the mothers, and this also comes with a structured sessions but based on the traditional games, and it follows experiential learning processes, and it goes through a play reflect and play method. Is in a structured manner it is followed, and there are pre and post reflection circles are being conducted, which is like kind of comes with a checklist, which helps us to monitor the progress on each of the well-being pillar, which I will present in the next slide. So TDH, yeah. Yes. So TDH adopts a holistic understanding of mental health and psychosocial well-being. So including different kind of physical, emotional, political dimensions. And this is structured under 5 well-being pillars and applicable to individual and family. So these 5 well-being pillars are safety, security, stability, bonds and networks, roles and identities, justice and rights, and the last one is hope and meaning. Now I will briefly share that how the family strengthening intervention, what kind of impact it has created across the 5 well-being pillars from our evaluations. So if we begin with the first pillar, which is feeling safe, here our focus is on helping families to restore a stable and predictable home environment. We work with households to identify risk and also develop safety plan, ensure access to basic services, strengthen caregivers' emotional regulations so that both the child and caregivers feel secure. The second pillar is feeling connected. So through positive interactions and sessions, also we help them to develop shared routines at the household level. It all facilitated bonding activities, and we strengthen the caregiver and child relationship. We also rebuild the connections disrupted by migration or stress, link families to various peer groups, community networks to reduce isolation. The third pillar is feeling worthy, which basically looks at identity and roles within the family, and our intervention help caregivers build confidence in their caregiving role, recognize their strength, gain skills. So we conduct a lot of parenting sessions, positive disciplining sessions with the caregivers. We also encourage families to assign age appropriate roles to the children, ensuring that they are not burdened with adult responsibilities. And fourth pillar, which is around feeling respected. So this focuses on their justice, sense of justice and rights. And we support families to understand and claim their entitlements, validate the kind of challenges they face, and help them to engage confidently with schools, with health systems, with local governance structure, and which kind of also strengthen their self and collective efficacy. The fifth pillar is the last one is the feeling hopeful, where we help the families to reinforce cultural strength and positive traditions. They set their realistic goals and establish future oriented routines, and create opportunities to imagine a better future jointly. So across all these 5 pillars, the framework actually helps us to see the family not only through the risk factors, but also through strengths, relationships, and possibilities for long-term change. Next slide, please. So in these methodologies and tools we have implemented in both in rural and urban settings, and some of the consideration which includes, like in rural area there's limited transport, communities are spread out, and so it's important that in these sessions we need to consider the time for them to relax. Engaging local volunteers are critical. In rural settings, there are specific deeply the specific social norms also influence such kind of, because it's sports based, there are lot of norms, and particularly engaging women and girls, we have to deal with the community, we have to engage the community in the intervention. We also need to consider the agricultural, we have considered agricultural time, temporary mobility pattern, like when these families are available, when the parents are coming back, how we kind of bring the child and the parents together when they're coming from the work, like if they have temporarily migrated. In urban settings, the space is available, travel is shorter, but we have kind of followed a very strict start and end time. Sometimes in urban settings, we have also used blended group sessions to conduct reflection circles, to conduct parenting sessions. Professional facilitators are more accessible in urban settings. And also in urban settings, it's kind of the groups are extremely diverse. So that needs to be considered while contextualization of each learning sessions. And also we need to consider the daily work schedules and availability, particularly in urban settings, they were mostly available on the weekends. The next slide is the challenges. So basically what we have seen that limited family engagement, particularly participation of fathers and male members. So this is something which we have been looking at, that okay, we have used this methodology, we have implemented, we have seen the results, but what kind of tool or methodology can be developed which can particularly engage the fathers a bit more. Also in terms of, as I mentioned before, one of the key challenges, the harmful social norms, and initially it creates a lot of barrier to introduce very structured sports based psychosocial intervention. Lack of convergence among service provider, and also in terms of rolling out what we have experienced in PM plus, that when we have used the conducted problem management plus sessions, particularly in prevention domain, the high caseload of the frontline workers was one of the major challenges. So here I will stop.
Thank you, Palomik. And in fact, I would like to share here that I could see one connecting indicator in all the presentation, and which is the promotion of sports for psychosocial support and empowerment. Like Banguji has also emphasized, father also shared for the same thing, and you also pointed out this part. And if I see the work of the TDH, I could see the approach is very much aligned with the national and international child protection standard, as you mentioned and presented as well. And the model is resilience focused and strength based, like you have mentioned about the MHPS, MHPSS, and the continuum of care about that. And the well-being model, which is like the 5 key pillars, very well shared. And then at the end, the gap which we also faces, and especially like one such point, if I will just pick, is like involvement of father in or the male member when we work on a family strengthening issue. It's very much relevant, and we see it on our ground level. And due to this, as we see the patriarchal based society, still it is, and when it talk about the decision making thing, and or the decision making part of the family, and their all the gaps, issues, and the challenges comes because they women or the children, they are not in a position to take the decision about themselves, and from there the whole challenge comes, or the risk of separation comes. That's what we see. So with this, now I open this session for question answer from the participants present here. So I do have some questions for the speaker, but I'll first invite question, if any, from the participants here. Yes. Please share.
You can just unmute yourself and ask the question, and also point out which speaker the question is referring to, if any questions. Meanwhile, Ranjana ma'am, you remember there was some questions for during the time of registration. If you would like to float it to the speakers.
Yeah, sure. So I have Kavita 2 to 3 question here. So first question is for, in fact, for all the esteemed speakers here, is like the question is, could the speakers share one example where a family strengthening intervention majorly reduce the risk of child family separation? And the second one is specific for father. Uh, can we also get some insight on the situation of disability in North? So yeah, over to speakers, please.
So maybe I can just give one,
Yeah,
because we have just recently concluded our evaluation, and which actually highlighted we have tried to we implemented a project in Malda, Shiliguri, like Jalpaiguri and Murshidabad. And these are the 3 districts we chose because it also in West Bengal, because West Bengal has highest number of child marriage cases. And also in West Bengal, these are the 3 districts comes with high number of child marriage. And also from migration point of view, it's very high in terms of people migrating to other states or to Calcutta as well. So what we have identified that because this particularly sports-based method and structured method, it's basically engage adolescent and young people. And what we have kind of compared that the previous methodologies which earlier we had used, I think the kind of engagement is very high in terms of young people in such methodology, and which we have seen that in the most of the child marriage, it's not necessarily a forced marriage or forced by the family members. There's an earlier, they also shared, the children have shared that there's a lot of elopement cases have happened, but such methodology actually build the agency of these girls, and they are now able to kind of negotiate with their families, and not only with their families, also with their boyfriends. And they are kind of, it creates a kind of, it has created a kind of space in the family, which actually strengthening the interpersonal relationship within the family members, like with their parents, with the child, but also space for negotiation that also created. And we are documenting through different kind of change stories and case studies, but I think such methodology has a very high impact and can be deployed in low resource settings. And we have seen the results in terms of how it created a strengthen the relationship within the family. And when the family are looking at a problem now, they are looking at a problem like it's not the only adults problem. They are at times discussing with these young people and trying to identify a solution that automatically creates that relationship, and the chances and the incidents of leaving the family have reduced.
Yeah, can I come in?
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, please.
Yeah, on your first question on preventing child family separation. So in one of the cases in Darbhanga, so when I visited one of the CCIs, I found actually basically a boy who has actually left his home not once but thrice. And then and DCPU were really clueless why this child is actually running away from the family, though that child was actually neither engaged in any kind of child labor or any kind of form. So then when I had an interaction with that child, so then child told that he is quite actually very keen to continue his studies, but because of the poverty, the family is actually pushing him to take some work in some of the other brick lanes or go somewhere either in Mumbai or somewhere else. So when then we actually when the officers were doing the SIR, and as well as when we got the SBR report, then we could understand the kind of support the family needs then that family was actually being supported with social protection schemes of the government of Bihar. And then the family actually got the child again enrolled in the school, and the child actually started continuing the education. So sometimes what happens that even the child doesn't want to get separated from the family, but the family actually pushes him or her to actually go and earn something, because father was actually unable to go because father was having some issues. I think during COVID, the father has lost the job, and then it was very difficult for father to really get back to job. And later on, we also find that the mother also was actually working somewhere else, but she also lost the job. Then the entire family was actually dependent on that boy. So that's how there are certain actual situations which pushes children out of school, and also make them more vulnerable. So that it would be always good to see uh, that normally we find that uh, people don't have actually access to social protection schemes, and most of the social protection schemes which is being actually reaching to the people, like the way I talked about is sponsorship. We have find that it is the people who are actually reaching to the system and getting the benefits, but there are many families who do not have any idea of the kind of social protection schemes which is being provided by the government. So how does the social protection schemes reach to those families so that they don't push their actually children for out of the education system, and then these children actually become either part of the CNCP or the CCL. Over to you, Ranjana ji.
Thank you so much. Very clearly you shared the thing. Father, would you like to share your thought on this? Yeah.
Well, I would like to speak rather than on the other question on this. Well, what I noticed about strengthening of family is that, if, as I mentioned it already in my talk, if it is a pure economic vulnerability, it can be strengthened very fast. That is, you give the money, the problem is solved, and the money, if it is well utilized and the child is going to school, the whole thing is okay. But if it is a complex reality, the vulnerability is the result of a large number of factors, say like alcoholism, like drug abuse, like relationship that are really strained. How do you strengthen that family within a very short time? It takes a very long process. And in the meantime, where do you keep the child? If that child is in that not so healthy environment, the child is going to pick up many, many negative things. So, temporary institutionalization with an effort to build up the family and then restoring the child, that works. If there are good arrangements for kinship care and for foster care, fine. But such arrangements, if possible, it's fine. I might have been sounding a little negative because for 6 years as a CWC chairperson and 3 years as JJ board member, I realized that all the cases that come to the CWC and to this JJ board, they're all children from almost unfit families, unfit in various ways, not just economically. And so our approach should not be very simplistic. Our approach, if it is simplistic, it will not be okay. It is a complex problem, a very, very complex problem. So strengthen the family as much as we can. In the meantime, make sure the child is not deprived. Because I always believed in the principle of best interest of the child. And not in that pushing back the child to, I don't know, some by mistake, maybe it is there in that JJ Act that the child has a right to go back to the same socio-economic situation from which it came.
Yes.
When I read it, I got a shock. How can the child go back to that? Then what is the future of that child? So let us be a little more deep in that in answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Kavita, do we have time? Because I could see one more question.
I think we can just, if this question is from Mr. Umesh Purohitji, and this question is for Polumi. If you can just quickly give a response to that question, Polumi. So basically, he's asking, if you have any specific intervention for MHPSS for migrant children.
So in terms of migrant children, we do have the module particularly for the children left behind. We have not yet kind of tested this in destination pockets, considering the different diversity, and because in the destination there are children from different states and different communities that we have not yet tested. We do have a plan to pilot that kind of testing. But yes, with the children left behind, where in the migrant families, we do have the module.
That's where the children are at the source station.
Source stations, yeah.
So if you could also share, Polumi, that I can share it with all the participants in future. Yeah, I know we have come to the end and it's already 5:30.
Just to add to on the MHPSS part, I think every school in India is actually implementing a school health and wellness program.
Yes.
Out of 11 modules, one of the modules is also an MHPSS. Apart from that, the sports for development is also one of the intervention which is also being actually implemented by Ministry of Education, and in many states, states have actually allocated funds for giving a sports kit and promoting it. And then in BBBP also, now they actually engaging girls in non-traditional actually sports. So for that also, they are actually like there is a provision for giving a sports kits to the girls, organizing actually sports for the girls. So there are certain initiatives which has been actually taken by the government of India as well as by many state governments. So those can also be looked at.
Yeah, thank you, Bangsar. There is one more question. If any of the speakers would like to take this up, it's from Geeta Rani, and she's asking if there are any organizations. I think organizations who are directly working with the local governance to address the caste-based, religion-based, and ethnicity-based discrimination. I think this is basically to
I think Father or Bankushe, them can
if you know, maybe
it's
somebody
applicable there.
We basically are working only in the city of Guwahati. And so the local organization and governance people, Panchayat Raj institutions and all that, we are not in touch with them. But in the city, we are in touch with the municipal councillors, the local MLA, the booth level officers, and we try to include them all in our child welfare and protection committees. And so in this manner we work. Yeah. Otherwise, we are not. No, we work only in Guwahati city. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Father.
Yeah, like in Bihar, there are many CSOs, NGOs being supported either by different donors. So they work directly with the community and in strengthening CWPCs at the village and ward level in their intervention areas. But one thing that we are seeing in the recent years, the drug abuse has really increased, basically, especially in the border districts. Children are also being used as a being there. So, and the second issue is in Bihar that we are actually experiencing is the number of elopement cases. So, as Father was rightly saying, that in the elopement cases, family strengthening becomes the most difficult because, like in one of the elopement cases where one of our colleague in Odisha office, so they found a girl actually in Baharampur district. So she has actually fallen in love with a boy in Bihar. She was from Khagadia district, and then when I interacted, so we got the address, we talked to the parents, but parents simply declined that we don't want to actually take back our daughter because for us, she is no more. So then it becomes very, very difficult for the DCPU to really reintegrate that girl to the family. So currently, that girl has been transferred from Baharampur, Odisha to to Bihar. She is still actually in the CCIs. So then it becomes, because in spite of so many follow-ups, family said no, and whereas girl is actually quite willing to go back to the family. For us, when we talk about the European girls to actually take them back to the family, family doesn't really bother about the girls. Even the in-laws are also not very interested to really bring the girl. So this is something I think, I don't know whether there are some good practices which is happening in other states, but this is something which is coming in the recent years.
Thank you, Banku sir. Okay, with this, I think we have come to an end. And just to summarize, I think we have heard like there are many challenges when we talk about family strengthening. But also what I've learned from the three speakers is that there can be many innovative initiatives which can be taken up, like including sports in strengthening the families, then also taking the initiatives which has been taken by the government of Bihar, introducing new schemes, and also introducing sports as also one of the things. And also I think somewhere when we're talking about family strengthening to deal with the challenges which are very deeply patriarchal in nature, which are very, with different kinds of geographical settings that we are in, with different kinds of caste, class, discrimination that we are in, we also sometimes need to take very bold steps of how we can challenge those, so that, like the cases Banku sir was just mentioning, in romantic relationship cases, how as a child protection functionaries and stakeholder, sometimes we may have to take a very, very creative, innovative and bold step to make sure that the families and children do not separate with each other. With that, I would just like to thank you to all the speakers, to Ranjana ma'am for moderating this session wonderfully, to Banku sir, to Paulami, to Father Lucas for sharing their insights and experiences, and also talking about the challenges that we really need to look into when we are talking about family strengthening, and to all the participants for staying with us till 5:30, even after 5:30 for the session. We'll be having the next session probably in March or in April. The last part of the series, which will cover the the southern region of the state, India, and will bring much more initiatives, what is happening on the ground with all of you. So stay tuned with us, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you everyone. We will share the recording of this event with all of you, and also the resources which has been shared by our speakers today, and also the presentations with all of you. Thank you, everyone. If you have any feedback, please feel free to share with us on our ISCN Secretariat email address. We would be happy to know your feedback on the sessions. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father. Thank you.
Keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you.